Naval War Arctic Circle is a game about the fight for resources in the far north. It encompasses all the great powers in the North Atlantic region, like Europe, like Russia, like the United States, and their fight over precious resources, especially oil. There's also a fight over transportation routes. So the Northwest Passage is absolutely a viable transportation route instead of the Panama Canal to Asia, to Western US. And all these resources are fought over at sea in our game with ships and submarines and warplanes. It's a real-time strategy game where players who are used to that genre can feel right at home. You play it like an RTS. The difference is that you have very powerful units. A ship at sea is more like a city than an actual unit, and it has power more like a division of land tanks than a single unit in another game. And we've implemented these units to be quite close to the real world counterparts, with the same weapons, the same ranges, the same sensor platforms and so on, to simulate naval conflict in a modern setting. But we also want to make sure that it's possible to play like an RTS player, where your friendly AI takes control of some of the more detailed stuff. But if you want to, as a player, you can choose which level of detail and complexity you want to take on. There are really quite a few things that make Naval War Arctic Circle a special game. It has an enormous scope. It has the entire North Atlantic region. It has real contemporary units. It has ships and submarines and planes that actually exist in the world. And you send them out in the world, you control which loadout they have, and what kind of missions they can accomplish. The weapons are actually far beyond what you often see in science fiction. The range of the weapons could be like 1,000 kilometers or more. And you have sensors that can see very far, but you also, on the other side, you have stealth. Submarines are very hard to detect unless they do something offensive. So as a strategy player, there are so many choices you have. There are so many different things you can do. We say you want to play with the great machines of war, and these really are the great machines of war. There will be a game of cat and mouse on the open ocean, quite literally, where you can't see your enemy before he's close, and the same for your opponent. So it will be a really interesting gameplay where your units are extremely powerful in lines of weaponry. One single unit can wipe out an entire carrier group if it gets close enough, quite unlike a lot of RTS that exists now. So the tide of battle can turn in an instant. One mistake you make, that will lose you the game. What everybody should know about Naval War Arctic Circle is that it's going to be a realistic simulation of modern naval combat, but it's also going to be a very exciting game. We truly believe that we can combine those two, that we can make a game with all the excitement, all the surprises, all the strategic choices you can make for the game. And at the same time, you have real-world units, you have your aircraft carriers that you know about, you have the surface ships, you have the modern aircraft that you have read about in a newspaper, and you can play all these units, and you can wage war against the scenarios we make, or you can wage war on a net with your friends.